What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for September 8th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Sunday edition of the podcast, a stress-free football Sunday for all of us. Also, our second anniversary. 2 years ago today, this day in Philly Sports History started. And to give you a little bit of background on the history of the podcast, I started off doing Back to the Future, which was a longer form weekly podcast, basically because I was in the process of writing a book, which I guess you technically could still say I'm in the process of doing it, even though I haven't touched it in over 2 years at this point. But I was having some troubles with just some writer's block. It was a book on what ifs in Philly sports history. So that was the basic premise of Back to the Future. Like I said, I got some writer's block and started the podcast to kind of work through some of those scenarios and the what ifs that I was focusing on. And it was going well. And one day, September 8th, 2022, it was the opening of the NFL season. I believe it was the Rams and who were they playing that day? The Rams and the Bills. And I said, you know what? It brought me back to, I just happened to see, I think on Twitter that somebody had put, remember this happened, and it was the Eagles versus the Titans. Eagles blew a lead in that game. And for some reason, that was one of those games that vividly stuck out in my head. So I'm like, that was a day in Philly history. So let's try it. I did a 2-minute, this what happened during the game, and I'll play it for you here in a minute. But the rest, as they say, is history. So before I get into more of the history of this podcast, check out the original This Day in Philly Sports History from 2 years ago. What's up, everybody, and Happy New Year to all the football fans out here. Yes, it is opening day, September 8th, 2022. Tonight, the Rams take on the Bills, the defending champs, against who everybody is picking to be the champs this year, the Bills. I don't know. I know everybody's on the Bills, but I think the Bills actually win and cover the spread. Might sprinkle little bucks on there or not. But for those of you who have been watching, I appreciate it. We're going to try something new here, see if it sticks. Please give me the feedback and let me know what you think. But this day in Philly sports history, September 8th, 2020, September 8th, 2002, exactly 20 years ago, the Eagles went down to Tennessee to take on the Titans to open the season. They lost that game 27-24 after leading 24-10 at halftime. I remember that game well. I was sitting at the winner's circle in Exton, just miserable. You might remember that 2002 season as the one that was the last season at Veterans Stadium. Also the game that McNabb broke his ankle early in the game against the Cardinals, still threw the 4 touchdowns. Coy Detmer and A.J. Philly kept the ship afloat. And unfortunately, one of the most disappointing games in my career as an Eagles fan and as a season ticket holder in attendance, the Tampa Bay NFC Championship game, where Joe Jurevicius is still running down Broad Street right now after that touchdown. Thanks, Levon Kirkland. But more on that in a future episode. What if? We'll see what happens, but that one still stings to this day. But yeah, this day in Philly sports history, the Eagles went down to Tennessee and lost to the Titans 27-24. Be sure to check out Back to the Future wherever you get your podcasts, and check us out on YouTube. Happy New Year, everyone. So if you're watching it, you can see a lot of the lighting and everything is a lot different. If you're listening, the sound quality is slightly better. I still have issues with sound, but I'm trying. I need a Baba Booey, but that's another story for another day. But after that day, I continued it every day. And then October 3rd, I was like, you know what? This would be a good idea for a micro podcast. At the time, it was only 2 to 5 minutes. I was strictly focused on this day. And then it kind of hit me throughout the rest of that first year that I'm doing a lot of the state of Philly sports, as I like to say. But throughout 2023, there was a lot of the rest of 2024, I should say, there was a lot of overlap with Back to the Future. So a lot of the same things were overlapping, and there was just a lot of content that was the same. So beginning in 2023, Back to the Future. I retired it, and here we are this day in Philly sports history, 2 years later. It's opened up many, many doors for me. I do some work now with the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. Obviously, the great people over at Philly Goat, Ryan and his team over there are amazing. I got to be a VIP for the League Apart panel discussion on the history of Negro Leagues in the Philadelphia area with Brian Michael. Great thing. Working with my boys over at the Clashing Conferences, had a chance to do multiple times, work with them. Hopefully doing some more collaborations with them this season as well. Made some connections for more of a national podcast, the Bostonian versus the Book, two guys out in Vegas. So I kind of stay in touch with them and always are seeking advice and things from them, as well as the people that's sort of the brigade, as we called ourselves, who follow them and really just believe in what they're doing. And it's hard for a small-time podcaster because I don't have the clout in Philly that Jason Kelce does, and certainly don't have the backing of the Swifties like Travis does. So it's tough for guys like us. So a lot of small-time podcasters just reaching out to them, building those networks and really helping each other out. It's not necessarily a competition because they do their content, I do mine, and I'd be willing to bet I've not seen a podcast that focuses directly on Philly sports. Obviously, over the years, I've started to include my takes on things. We have our weekly football bet during Eagles season. We do our preview shows. We've implemented some of the fun stuff. We had the Lovable Loser tournament. We had the nickname tournament. Who wore it best? Starting tomorrow, we're going to do the Philly sports villains, people from Philly or that played for our Philly teams who turned into villains. So just a lot of fun with that. And it really does. I haven't missed a day in 2 years, even on vacation, work trips, being at people's houses. It's something, it's a good outlet for me, and it's a lot of fun. But I thank you guys all for 2 years. I could not do it if nobody was listening. And each day we get more listeners. So if you are a new listener, welcome. Thank you. You picked a good time to really join and be a part of this as we're kicking off our football season. Yesterday we set an all-time record for votes in the question of the day. I had a lot of retweets, so we blew the old record out of the water. So hopefully if you got the idea for this podcast or saw it on Twitter, welcome. Thank you for joining. Some of my goals moving forward is because I talked about making the connections, was able to make some connections with some of the bigger Philly podcasts, Philly sports-based podcasts. So trying to always work and do some collaboration things with them. I had the opportunity to work with John Foley, who's now with a couple different spots here in Philly. PHLY. He is the Phillies guy for them. A lot of times him and I are on the same page with when we do Phillies this day sports history. So it's pretty cool that there's things going on, overlap. So hopefully the sky's the limit. There's some things that I kind of have on the back burner here that I can't really talk about that hopefully will take this into the next level for me. Obviously, I want to work this coming year on improving some of the production things. I have some ideas for some graphics and things like that. Obviously, I need a better microphone and probably a better camera. Baba Booey would be huge with that. I would love to work on something live, like a live watch party or live shows, maybe for a Phillies playoff game or an Eagles game coming up. So stay tuned for things like that. Always the dream since I was a kid to make this be a full-time job for me. So that's always in the background. But again, I don't have the Taylor Swift backing or the clout of Jason Kelce yet to do that. It's a slow burn, but in 2 years, we've certainly grown much more and much bigger than I've ever thought we possibly could. And again, that's a testament to you guys. So thank you. Obviously, I would love more sponsorship. I told you, KeyBank. If you're out there, the KeyBank keys to the game, it just has a nice ring to it. Everybody does car dealerships for the keys to the game. Why not a bank? So if you work for or know somebody from KeyBank, I'm telling you. But it is. I totally believe in this concept. I think it's an entertaining thing because we do have, despite not winning a lot of championships in Philadelphia, we have a rich sports history. And I think a lot of times we need to celebrate that and realize sometimes we're we're a good sports city. And I think it's easy to get caught up into, well, you don't have any championships, and especially recent years. Your teams choke. Philly fans are the worst. I will always be the voice of the Philly fan. I will always stick up for us when the national media, the local media, whoever, opposing fans rip us. But I really do believe in this concept. I think it's partly the former history teacher in me coming out. But I think doing it in an entertaining way is the way to go. And just living my dream, man. This is, like I said, since I was a kid, I originally went to Temple with hopes of being on ESPN someday. So I know ESPN is likely changing their kind of platform and format coming up in the next coming years. So maybe ESPN isn't the end goal anymore. But making this a full-time job and just being able to do this every day is amazing. The little kid in me, watching those guys on ESPN and the guy with I used to have a little, we all did, a boombox tape recorder, and I would broadcast the games. Like I would go over the stats and act like I was Harry and Whitey. So definitely living the dream. Sorry if my voice is cracking a little bit. That was a little bit of unexpected emotion there, but thank you all for your support. 2 years. This has been an amazing ride. Cannot wait to see what year 3 brings. Looking forward to it and really taking it. Like I think everybody always says a lot of times podcasts end within the first year of their implementation. Here we are going into year 3. And like I said, we have a strong foundation and it's a testament to you guys. Obviously, my family who knows when the door is shut, shh, daddy's recording. Just amazing. And again, did not expect this level of emotion, but wow. But thank you all for listening. And if you are new, buckle up. It's always a lot of fun, especially when I get frustrated and go on a rant and drop some profanity laced tirades. But thank you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont, Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. And let's take it to the next stratosphere in year 3. It's still also not too late to qualify for the drawing for a free Philly Goat shirt. Be sure today by midnight to interact with the Back to the Future voice and text line at 267-495-8531. 267-495-8531. Send a text, leave a voicemail, and then go to the YouTube channel at Jimbo_Mont and subscribe there, and you'll automatically be entered into the drawing. I will do the drawing later this week, but it's still not too late. Let's get it done. Thank you. Thank you to Philly Goat. Go check them out. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. Check out my boys at the Clash and Conferences. Check out the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame ceremony. Tickets are on sale. It's a huge induction class. So go check them out. Buy tickets. I'll be there again. Thank you to Brian Michael, everyone out there that has been a part of this podcast and even Back to the Future beforehand. Thank you. All right, now to the sports. Tough one for the Phils. I think they kind of waved the white flag yesterday. Anytime you see Taijuan Walker going into a game, you know that they've basically given up. And Taijuan Walker, to his credit, did not disappoint. Yeah, I mean, Taijuan Walker's going to Taijuan Walker, I guess. Nolo, though, was not sharp, and I don't know. I feel like this is one of those times games like this happen. They had won 6 in a row. They were due for a loss. Offense cooled off a little bit from the 22 hit or whatever it was the other night. But, I mean, you lose games like this, but you can still win the series with a win today. Seth Johnson is making his Major League debut. He came over from the Orioles in the Gregory Soto trade. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's always exciting when guys make their Major League debut. It's a good day for the offense to get it going. They will be without JT for a couple more days. He's sitting out when he fouled the pitch off his knee the other day. But I don't know. I guess this would be the time to rest some of these guys. I don't know. I don't know. I'm starting to get concerned. I'll get more on that in a minute. From a standing standpoint, still tied with the Dodgers for the top seed. And since we own the tiebreaker, Phillies would be the top seed. 3 games up on the Brewers. Don't look now, but there is a new team in second place in the NL East. Mets are 7 games back. Braves are 8 games back. So that magic number remains at 14 to clinch the division. But hey, we got a lot of games coming up against the Mets, so we'll see how that plays out. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we know when the Phillies and the Mets are in a pennant race in September, we know what usually happens. If Taiwan's going to Taiwan, the Mets are going to Met. But that leads to the question of the day. Are you getting concerned with some of these injuries that the Phillies are getting, and is it just a good time to rest some of these guys? You got Bryce, who's dealing with whatever in his elbow. Alec Boehm, who's on the IL. JT, who's not on the IL, but sort of there. Austin Hayes, I know his is a kidney infection, so that's just more one of those bad luck type injuries. But are you concerned with the current state of the Phillies? Let me know on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. It's a good way for you to qualify for that drawing for the free Philly Goat shirt. I'm not concerned yet, but I'm starting to trend in that direction, I guess. But let me know your thoughts. You also vote on social media. But the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Are you concerned with these little nicks and dings that the Phillies players are getting? All right, to recap yesterday's question of the day, and like I said, we blew the old record out of the water. But did you feel better or worse about the Eagles after seeing the game on Friday night? 92% of you agreed with me. You feel better. And the general consensus was, for the most part, the things that could be, or the things that needed to be fixed are things that can be fixed. And there was a lot of folks that said, hey, this was a contender in the NFC, and we beat them. I had one fan accuse anybody who thinks they're going to be worse are Cowboys fans. Not sure if that's true, but that definitely made me laugh. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. Today, though, are you concerned with the little nicks and dings that the Phillies players have been getting recently? Let me know your thoughts on that, and you can qualify for that free Philly Goat shirt. All right, it's a stress-free Sunday of football. No need to stress about the Eagles or worry about that. One little thing that I think is really concerning is the level of hate coming out of Green Bay about Jalen Carter calling the play that hurt Jordan Love dirty. And, excuse me, I watched the replay, and it's one of those unfortunate ones. And Jalen, obviously, if you look at the replay, was trying to wrap him up the way you're supposed to so he cannot get out. It's a football play. If anything, I think it's easy to blame Jalen Carter because of his history, which is not fair. Not fair at all. It definitely is an unfortunate injury, but to bring up things about his past and call him a dirty player because of an unfortunate football injury is, to me, a little over the line and just kind of wild that that's where you would go. And to be honest, if you look at the play, if anything, you could say make the same case that Josh Sweat had a dirty hit too. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's unfortunate, and it's something that probably he's always going to have to deal with. But to bring his past and what happened with the car accident into a play that you could see, if he was going after just one of his legs, I could see your point. But he was trying to wrap up, and guys wrap up around the ankles all the time. So I get it. We'd be pissed off too, but it just, to me, was a little over the line. All right. So since it's stress-free football, who are we rooting for today? And give a little guide to who I think we should be rooting for. Obviously, Vikings over the Giants, Browns over the Cowboys. I guess technically the Buccaneers over the Commanders to give, I guess, the division-wise. Although the Bucs could be one of those teams, like from a playoff standpoint. So maybe if they tie, I don't know. It definitely Rams over the Lions, Jets over the Niners. That's tomorrow night though. But that's who we're rooting for today, or at least who I'm rooting for. But it's stress-free football. Enjoy it. Red Zone will be on. We got a fall baseball game we're gonna watch, and then it's gonna be Red Zone the rest of the way. All right. Not even worth spending more than 30 seconds on it. This just in, the Temple football team is bad. Okay, that's it. Today, we're going to go back to 1998. And on this day in 1998, the Phillies were playing the role of spoilers against the New York Mets, who were in the contention for a wild card spot at that point. The Phillies that day pounded out 17 hits, including a franchise record 7 home runs in a 16-4 win at the Vet. Our old pal Bobby Estalella, most home runs with less than 200 career hits. Hit 2. Kevin Sefcik. I could never have said his name. Sefcik, whatever. Kevin, he hit 2. Rico Brogna hit 2, and then Marlon Anderson hit a home run in his first major league at bat to finish it off. Phillies also added 4 doubles as well. Paul Bird got the win, and it did help as the Mets finished 1.5 games behind the Cubs. Cue Nelson from The Simpsons. Phillies, for their cause that year, ended up 75-87. It was Francona's second year as the team, gave us hope. And we all know how that played out. But on this day in 1998, Phillies set a team record with 7 home runs in a game against the Mets, a game they won 16-4. Bobby Estalella, Kevin Sefcik. Why can't I say Sefcik? Kevin Sefcik. All right, we got it. Kevin Sefcik hit 2. Rico Brogna hit 2. Marlon Anderson hit 1 in his first major league at bat on this day in 1998. Remember, tomorrow we start our Philly villains, guys that are either from Philly or play for Philly who turned into villains over the course of their professional careers. Excited to kick that off and have some fun with that. Thank you again for 2 years of being loyal listeners. Some of you I know have been here since day one. Thank you for that. It means so much to me. And if you are new, welcome. I hope you're here for the next 2 years, because these next 2 years, we're going to grow much bigger than what we did the first 2 years. So again, thank you for allowing me to live my dream. Thank you for spending time with me every day, whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on what I have to say and how tired I am. That determines how long sometimes the podcast is. But thank you again. I truly appreciate it. Be sure to interact with the voice and text line, and then subscribe to the YouTube channel to qualify for that free Philly Goat shirt. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off at Philly Goat. If you can't wait and want to buy a shirt now, that is perfectly fine. This has been a blast. And again, I thank you. I truly, truly appreciate it. Go enjoy your stress-free football today. It's a beautiful thing. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. So go enjoy. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for September 8th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.